Pranam. Let's move on to the next episode of Jain History of Book 2, when a son surpasses his father. Shrenik, the emperor of Magad, was the prime devotee of Bhagwan Mahavir. The amount of Amari Pravartan that he could enforce during the presence of Bhagwan Mahavir, many times more Amari Pravartan was enforced in absence of Bhagwan Mahavir by King Kumarpal, ruler of 18 countries, and his sole son Rupdev Singh. Just like the saying, the quality of the seed can be made based on the fruit. Similarly, by noticing the values of the father, the son's value can be estimated. This was clearly reflected in the life of Nrupdev Singh. Just like his father, he was also very firm in the matters of Jeev Daya. His father's Prabhu Bhakti was excellent, even though he was no less. Everyone would see Nrupdev Singh as a Shasan Prabhavak. But Karma had other plans. His body contracted a disease at a young age. Despite getting treatments from the best of Vaidyas, nothing worked. Due to his health, his father and the subjects became quite concerned. Do Samyak Purusharth and then whatever is the result, accept it gracefully. It seemed like Nrupdev Singh had assimilated this in his mind, due to which he wasn't particularly worried about his body. But one day, the situation became quite critical, and Rupdev Singh began spending his last few moments on his deathbed. His father, Kumarpal, understood the gravity of the situation. In order to ensure his son's samadhi and for his final niryamana, he immediately called his guru, Kalikal Sarvagna Hemchandracharyaji, to the palace. On knowing Nrupdev Singh's situation, Acharyaji immediately arrived. On seeing his arrival, Nrupdev Singh sat on his bed and bowed down with the bhavna of Guru Vandan. Acharyaji placed his hand on Nrupdev Singh's head and blessed him. On seeing Nrupdev, Acharyaji realized that his life would end in a short time. That is why, while caressing Nrupdev's body lovingly, Acharyaji asked about well-being and that whether he was cautious. To which Nrupdev Singh joyfully replied that he was completely cautious and that his mind was absorbed in Arihant. Acharyaji said, Nrupdev, you have Kumarpal as your father. He is very rare. His love towards Jeeves and Prabhu Bhakti is amazing. You have such good luck. Do experience the joy of such good faith. On hearing this, Nrupdev began crying excessively. On seeing him crying like this, Acharyaji became shocked and asked, What is the matter, Nrupdev? You are crying despite being a Kshatriya? Are you scared of death? What's going on? Nrupdev Singh, who perpetually worships Dev Guru, who follows Jeev Daya, who meditates upon Shri Navkar Mahamantra, one who has Shri Shatrunjay in his heart, on the eve of death, should such a brave person have tears in his eyes or joy? Nrupdev replied, O Gurudev, these tears are not due to sorrow or pain, nor are they a result of the fear of death. My father surely got the throne, but he became a miser. He got many temples constructed, but of wood or stone. I always had this bhavna in my mind that when I would grow up, like my father, I would get temples constructed, but not out of wood or stone, but out of gold. After making a gold temple, I would anoint the pratima out of beautiful gemstones, and you would do its pratishtha with your sanctified hands. Then I would take out a Chariparit Sang in your guidance and later accept Charitra under you and end my Bhav Bhravan. But Gurudev, unfortunately, my life is moving in the direction of the end and I will not be able to fulfill my wishes. Now, all my wishes seem to be going down the drain. My tears are due to this sorrow. Nrupdev started crying after saying this much. After listening to his wonderful priceless desire, Gurudev started crying as a symbol of his appreciation and happiness. In the end, Gurudev did his Niryamana after getting him to do Anumodana of his Sukrut, condemnation of his bad acts, gave him vows and made him do Shamapana. With joined hands, he said, "My final Vandan to Pujya Shri," and left for another world. After listening to Nrupdev's desire, one feels like saying that the son has surpassed his father. Let's hear another story of one of the Mahapurush, Minister Pethad Shah. Pethad Shah, minister of Mandavgarh, whose name is written in golden ink in the pages of history. If we carefully examine his life, then we would know that before becoming a minister, he had to go through many sorrowful experiences due to his abject poverty. Once, while entering the capital city of Malwa kingdom, he saw a snake moving across his path. Hence, he stood there. In the meanwhile, a very learned fortune teller arrived there. He asked Pethad why he was standing there. Then he showed the snake to the fortune teller. The fortune teller looked at the snake and noticed that there was a sparrow on the snake's head. He immediately said, "If you had kept on walking without any breaks, then you would have become the king of Malwa. Now, to pay respect to this good omen, walk in his direction and you will become very rich." Knowing the fruits of the good omen, Pethad immediately enters the city. There, he stayed as a servant in the house of Ghoga's minister. The king saw Pethad's cleverness and made him a minister. And soon, slowly but steadily, he became very wealthy. Even after becoming a minister, Pethad's bhakti towards Prabhu was reaching new heights. When he would sit for Prabhu bhakti, he would not be concerned about his ministership. One day, while being engrossed in Prabhu bhakti, a person came to call Pethad Shah on king's order. At that time, Pethad Shah's servant, who was standing at the door of the temple, made him wait outside. After getting such a response, the king's servant got angry and narrated the entire incident to the king. Infuriated, the king went to the temple to call Pethad Shah. Pethad Shah's servant gave the same answer to the king. Then the king promised that he would not cause any hindrance in his bhakti. After listening to this, Pethad Shah's servant let him in. The king was shocked to see what was going on inside the temple. Pethad Shah was looking at Prabhu. His servants, who were sitting behind him, were giving him flowers of various colors and types, and Pethad Shah was making different angarachna out of them. Pethad Shah was deeply engrossed in Prabhu Bhakti. The king told one of the servants to leave and took his place and started giving flowers to Pethad Shah. Pethad Shah was so engrossed in Bhakti that he didn't realize this. On noticing the different order of the flowers, Pethad Shah got distracted and looked behind to say something to the servant. On seeing the king, Pethad Shah was in a dilemma. Then the king suddenly said, "I am impressed with your Prabhu Bhakti," and he patted his back. He again said, "Your engrossment in Prabhu Bhakti is commendable." Pethad Shah once faced a huge problem. A rich merchant gifted a kambli of gemstone to every person in India who had accepted the vow of brahmacharya. One day, as per the order of the merchant, his servant came to gift a kambli to Pethad Shah. Pethad Shah didn't accept the kambli as he had not accepted the vow of brahmacharya. Pethad Shah's insistence on not accepting the kambli seemed a bit odd to his wife. She went to Pethad Shah and explained him the dosh of Tirthankar Ashadna which one accumulates when they reject a gift from Sadharmik, and expressed her willingness to accept the vow. On listening to this, Pethad Shah immediately took his wife to a nearby upashray. There was an Acharya Maharaj present over there. At the ripe age of 32, both of them accepted the vow of brahmacharya. The couple of this great Shasan is great as well. Minister Pethad Shah needed some land to build a Jinalaya in Devgiri, but the king who hated Jainism was not ready. The minister started a charity center in the name of Royal Minister Hemad. Daily thousands of beggars were given good food. People started praising Minister Hemad for this effort. This went on for 3 years. When Minister Hemad got to know about this, he became quite curious and decided to investigate the matter. He went to eat at the center and asked, "Who runs this place?" He answered, "Minister Hemant." He became shocked and said, "But I am Hemant. I have not started any such charity center." Then the manager introduced him to Minister Pethad Shah. After some small talk, Minister Pethad Shah told him that if you have any love towards me, then please get me some land in Devgiri for the construction of Jinnalaya. Hemant got the king on his side and gave the required land to Pethad Shah. On digging the site, fresh water came out. Some Brahmins went to the king and complained that the entire city was drinking salty water and the place which was allocated for the temple contained fresh water. Therefore, instead of a temple, build a well over there. As soon as Pethad Shah got to know about this, he arranged for sacks of salt to be put in the hole overnight. The king came for inspection in the morning. The king was given some water for inspection. On tasting the salty water, the king spat it out. The Brahmins ran away from there. At the cost of crores of rupees, Pethad Shah built a grand Jinnalaya over there. With time, it became dilapidated and this temple faced destruction by Muslim rulers and ignorance by the Jains. Today, it is present in the form of the ruins of Devgiri, Daulatabad, Aurangabad. The government of India has declared it to be a temple of Hind Mata and installed an idol of Hind Mata in the center. The Rang Mandap of the temple is so huge that 3,000 people can do Chaitya Vandan simultaneously. Every pillar has Jain idols carved on them. Along with this, Pethad Shah gave gold coins equivalent to 56 ghadi for Dev Dravya and wore Indramala. He also saved Girnar Tirth from going into the clutches of Digambars. By covering the Chaitya of Prabhu Rishabh Dev Ji, situated on Siddhgiri, with 20 ghadi gold, he made it golden. In this way, he used a lot of money for religious tasks. Let's hear another story by which a Mahapurush attained Tirthankar Pad through bhakti. Look at Ravan, Mandodari's husband, who was lustful towards Sita and yet devoted to Jineshwar Prabhu. One day, he went to Mount Ashtapad along with his 16,000 queens like Mandodari, etc. in order to do bhakti of 24 Jain Pratimas enthroned by Bharat Chakravarti. Mandodari tied anklet bells in her legs and Ravan had a veena in his hands. He began to immerse in the tunes of music. Ravan got so engrossed in Prabhu Bhakti that he did not pay attention to his fingers and one of the strings broke. Ravan was shocked. If the music would stop, then Mandodari's dance would stop and her Bhakti Bhav would die as well, which would spoil the ambience. He immediately pulled out a nerve from his thigh and with the help of the art of Laghu Lagavi, he attached it to the veena. The music and the tunes went on without any breaks. All this happened so quickly that Mandodari didn't realize what had happened when the string broke and when it was fixed. Due to the impact of such an excellent level of bhakti, Ravan achieved Tirthankar Naam Karma in an instant and Nagar Raja Dharnendra, who was waiting outside, was astonished. A lot of time will pass and such time would come when king of Rakshak Kul, Ravan, would become a Tirthankar and Sitaji would become his Gandhar. Let's move on to another story of Mahapurush. Emperor Siddharaj and Judge Sajan. Minister Sajan became a part of the history of Jirnodhar. The emperor of Patan, Siddharaj, had appointed him as a judge. Once he was sent to Saurashtra to collect taxes. There he went for Girnar Yatra for one day. On seeing the wooden temple broken due to lightning, he became emotional. He immediately started the Jirnodhar and used up the tax revenue which was accumulated over 3 years. A jealous person went to the emperor and complained about him. Furious, Siddharaj immediately left for Saurashtra. On the way, he did darshan of Somnath temple and reached the footsteps of Girnar at Vanthalir village. Minister Sajan came forward to welcome him, but the king ignored him. Minister Sajan understood that there was something wrong. State funds had been used up for Jirnodhar. The emperor must be upset about it. Well, no worries. We'll find a way out. Minister Sajan mentioned his ordeal to a prominent trader of Vanthali. The trader gave him a total of 12.5 crore coins. The next day, Siddharaj Jai Singh went for Girnar Yatra. On seeing the tall, huge white crest of the temple, he said, "Blessed be the mother whose son constructed such a temple." On hearing this, the minister said, "Blessed be Meenal Devi who gave birth to a gem." Siddharaj. After listening to this, as soon as Siddharaj turned back, immediately Minister Sajan showed him the 12.5 crore coins and said, "Emperor, look at the coins and look at the Jinalaya. Out of the two, whatever you like, keep it. I have used up your wealth for Jinodhar. That has embellished your fame manifold. Still, if you do not want the punya and want the wealth, then the prominent people from the Sangh have collected this wealth. Whatever you want, keep it." Siddharth's heart melted and he ended up saying, "Blessed be my judge Sajan, you are great. By using my money in Jinnodhar, you made my life blessed, Sajan. I accept this offering that blinds punya. I do not want this wealth." Together, everyone cheered. Bolo Bal Brahmachari Bhagavan Neminath ki jai. Due to being overjoyed, Siddharaj gifted 12 villages for the maintenance of the temple. Minister Sajan made a huge dhwaja of 12 yojan, that is 120 kilometer approx. He tied one end of the dhwaja on the crest of Girnar and the other on the crest of Siddhachal Tirth. The prominent traders took that money back to their village and constructed 4 new Jinalayas. Pranam.